Hey there, Mark Brown. It's that time of year again. Ugh.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, those habits, those resolutions. And I know it's cliche. We know it. We get it. But if you're a presenter, your habits are going to be a little different.
Yeah.
So we really believe that we wanted to do an episode about this just to kind of take inventory. And yeah, there's things we got to do in our business. There's things we got to do with our family. But what about the presentation part of your life? Maybe it's that mission you're on. Maybe it's your professional business you're trying to build. But whatever that is, we want to dive in just for a few minutes to remind you of the critical habits to make you unforgettable, that your audience doesn't forget you and your message and asks you back.
Let's do this, brother.
Anyone can give a presentation. Few deliver unforgettable presentations. What's the difference? You're about to find out. Welcome to the Unforgettable Presentations Podcasts with your hosts, world champion speakers and coaches Mark Brown.
Your life tells a story, and there's someone out there who needs to hear it.
And Darren LaCroix.
Stage time, stage time, stage time.
Ready for some powerful presentation ahas? Let's dive right in.
Oh, Mark, it's inventory time. When I used to have my Subway sandwich shop, we had to take inventory and they gave us a chart and you got to check this and you got to check the meats and your vegetables and all of that inventory.
Yeah.
So it's time to take a little inventory. And our first thought is going back to that Jim Rohn quote. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So we're asking you, take a look at your top 5, the top 5 presenters, keynote speakers you spend the most time with. You've got to take inventory. If you're the best one of the group, okay, you need to find some more people. You can still help people. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're the king of the club, guess what? The king ain't growing. And if you ain't growing, as Mike Rayburn says, you can only coast downhill. You can't coast uphill. So who is in your top 5? Sit back, think about it right now. Not just the top 5 that you know, but the top 5 you spend time with.
Right. Who have influence over you. Exactly. Right. Who influence your thinking, your business, your presenting, who advise you, who support you, who encourage you and help you to get direction. Who you collaborate with. Of course, individuals I will never change in my 5. Some guy named Darren, something has been in my 5 for, 20 years. That's not going to change. But seriously, one of the key habits, we're looking at unforgettable habits now. One of the first habits is, and the beginning of the year is really good for this, is to stop taking some stock, taking an inventory. Who do I spend my most time with? Who am I learning from? Who do I invest my time to collaborate with? We're not saying you must shed everyone, but as Darren says, if you are the king of the hill, if you were the queen of the club, if everyone comes to you, your room for growth can be stymied because you're investing your time supporting others when it should be we must find ourselves in a place where while we can serve and help others, there are those who are serving us. Perhaps you're part of an NSA chapter somewhere. What's your role there? How can you serve there and how can you grow there as well? I have discovered that it helps me tremendously being part of NSA Georgia, where I'm counted upon to support their academy. But I also need people who I can lean on, like Patricia Fripp and Darren LaCroix, who I know I can learn from and grow along with along the way. So think about this. Who's in your 5? Whose work do you read? Who do you collaborate with? And who are you relying on to help you grow not only your business, but as Darren said, in the art and skill of presenting in a way that's going to make you unforgettable.
Yeah, when I think of the day I got to meet Brian Tracy, it was so cool. And at the same time, it's like, I know this guy. Why? Because I was a sponge. And even though I didn't know him, I wasn't personally mentored by him. He was in my top 5 because he was in my car. He was in my cassette player. That was where I got new insights. That's where the questions that I questioned what I know. If you want to be unforgettable, if you want to upgrade in 2024, well, the only way we're going to upgrade our skills is to upgrade our mindset, our perspective. Maybe we have some false beliefs we have to let go of, myself included. That's why I mastermind with people, with Craig Valentine, Ed Tate, Mark Brown, Ford Sakes on our business mastery calls. That's one of the reasons I created Stage Time University as an affordable place that anyone, if you're serious, if you're a sponge, if you're all in, you can go and spend time with us. We do our weekly coaching calls where we give those insights, direct application of these principles. So it's one thing to know the principle, like Mark, you and I know, everybody knows of the pause. But how many people do it? I would say 100% of people who are presenters have heard of it, know of it. And I would say 92% don't use it the way it was intended.
And one more thought regarding a top 5. Habit number 1, take inventory, look at your top 5. Think about the last 6 months of the last year. Perhaps you were involved in a mastermind group or got involved with a group that was involved with particular association. Maybe you're part of a LinkedIn group or a Facebook group. I don't know, but reassess your involvement in these organizations, in an association. What were the conventions and conferences you attended? Who did you connect with? Who did you begin to have conversations with? Were those conversations mutually beneficial? Would it be worth your while to spend some more time with those individuals? I'll say this, Darren. I was involved in a LinkedIn group and I met someone recently, a little older than I am, and we have had Zoom conversations over the past several months, and each one for me has been enlightening. And his experience, he's older than I am, but he would show me the notes from our previous call that he was taking, what I had said. And I find here's somebody now, his name is, I'll just call him Brooke. He's somebody I said, oh, you know what? We're going to hang out together. We're going to spend some more time together. So in terms of my list of people who I speak with, here's somebody I identified as someone I want to spend more time with. And we invite you to do the same thing. Who do you want to spend more time with based upon previous interaction, some previous conversations, and the way you're able to mutually support, help, and uplift each other? Take inventory. Who's in your top 5? Habit number 1.
Yeah, we got to take that inventory and be honest, because maybe there's a couple people who pull you down that maybe you need to maybe not throw them out of your life, but give them less ear time. Those complainers, those negative people, like they affect us, whether we think we're strong enough or not, they affect us. So we got to take time, sit back, just chill, take a walk somewhere without the distractions around, shut off your computer, go on airplane mode on your phone, and just really ask yourself where you spending that time, because this affects you. You want to be unforgettable? You got to be on that upward trajectory. So that's number 1, is to take inventory of those people we're spending time with. And Mark, I had to do this recently too. I just, after dinner, I turn on the TV and I kind of, it's my escape. Well, I've been escaping way too much. I really want to change the trajectory of my life and my business, where I'm in that mode now. Okay, I'm going to do something differently. I need to, up stage time, up my skills, up my my keynote speaking. We'll get to that in a second. So I realized I was listening to a book, 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. And they talked about his co-author, how he just stopped watching TV. And I was like, and all the hours he got in his life. And yeah, it's a distraction. And yeah, I think about business. I spend a lot of time, in my business, working on my business, thinking about my business. But that distraction ain't enough. I mean, it's not making me any better by watching 3 more reruns of Dateline and Law and Order. I wonder why I feel drama, because you freaking got that going on in the background. It's going into your subconscious mind. So I started a few new habits, and I watch Sunday football. I'm still working on this, but I joined a gym 3 weeks ago. I didn't do it on January 1st because I'm like, that ain't going to stick. So I just did it, made a decision. And now after I turn on the news just for a few minutes while I'm having dinner, and then boom, I go be a sponge to new things I'm working on. So did we get to number 2 yet? I don't even remember.
Not quite. We're kind of ending number 1 with a caveat and a PS. But habit number 2 is to reach out. The habit number 1, we said take inventory. Who's in your top 5? I'm going to do a sub theme here, Darren, with the word top. So habit number 2 is to reach out. You want to be kept top of mind. How do we stay top of mind to meeting planners, those who would hire us, those who work with us, those who would have us coach them? What habits can we pick up, Darren, to stay top of mind? You said reach out. What do you mean by that?
So look, hey, I've been super fortunate. For 20 years, I just do my business. I speak for free at Toastmasters, at NSA. I do paid speeches as well, but I really never did marketing. And guess what? The way I did it isn't really working anymore, especially since COVID. So I've got to find a way that works today. So there you go, Mark. There's an alliteration. Find a way that works today. And so like we have our big event, Game Changers, coming up. If you haven't heard of it, we do it just once a year. But I literally selfishly invited Maureen Zappala and Sam Richter, 2 people who are experts who have the way that works today. And Sam is going to come do his 15-minute a day way. What if you could spend 15 minutes a day to find leads to reach out to that are in line with your subject? Not just they're a planner. Well, there's a lot of planners, but if their audience doesn't need your subject, you just wasted your time. And I think it was Patricia Fripp that said, and it's not a direct quote, but she said, it's not the meeting planner's job to know us. It's our job to reach out and be top of mind for them. And so reach out, it could be just to build rapport. It could be just to check in. When I went for my accredited speaker designation, one of the things we had to do was to reach out to past clients.
I remember that.
Give them a survey that they would fill out, and they would go right to Toastmasters to get my accredited speaker. Well, a funny thing happened when I reached out. I got rehired. You reach out, you get rehired. Obviously you had to do a good job in the first place so they remember you and like you, which is why the habit of being unforgettable, the value in your product, which is your presentation, that is critical to whether they want to rehire you or not. So we have to, taking the habit, at our last Game Changers, we introduced, if you're watching the YouTube version of this, you see what I'm doing. And by the way, if you're watching the YouTube version, you see my desk is a mess. I could clean it up and get that stuff off camera, but right now it's end of year, beginning of new year. It's a mess back here. So this is the time when we're all in and we got to go through the mess of new year, new spreadsheets, new inventory, new accounting for the new year. So last year we did this, we gave away 10 casino chips as a reminder. So these 10 casino chips sit on my desk as a reminder that I've got to do 10 reach outs a day, at least. I got to do more. Mark, I ran across town to a speaker bureau here in Vegas yesterday, and I was like, I'm going to pop in. Well, I popped in and they weren't there, but I got on the phone and I called them. I said, hey, I'm working on a new keynote with a Vegas theme. And the woman answered, the bureau answered, and agent answered, and she's like, well, hey, I'm not in today because I won't say why, but she's not in today. There's some stuff going on in her office, but she said, but call me Friday. I want to hear more about it. What?
Hey,
but I spoke to what she was looking for. Here's a fresh idea of Vegas theme keynote. Not that it's not ever been done before, but if it hasn't been done in a while, it's a fresh idea. And guess what? It's going to make it easier for her to sell. So that being said, what are we going to do and how are we going to do it? We got to do that habit of reach out. So I did a physical reach out.
Yep. Funny you say that, Darren. I'm going to be doing a school presentation of all places in Macon, Georgia in several weeks.
Woohoo, backyard, baby.
And that came from as a referral from another school based in Texas. Well, that school came because I did what I call going back to the well. I did just that. I reached out to a past client from a different school. He had moved from Florida all the way to Texas, but I got hold of him, reached back out to him. We got the green light. He gave me a referral. I got a second school, and a third school now is also on the line for next year as a result of one reach out I did to a past client who I served back in 2018, 2019. That was years ago. And you may have a client who you've considered, perhaps you gave a free talk for an organization. Reach out. You want to stay top of mind for them. So reach out. As Darren says, you may have a fresh idea. It may be fresh to them. Here's a plus part, Darren. Maybe I know we're always trying to find something new, and we find something new every year at Game Changers. We're going to do it in April. We always have something new. But sometimes we can go back to a previous presentation with our new experiences. We have grown, we have learned more, we have leveled up our top 5. We can go back to what we did a few years ago and say, let me work on that. Let me improve that. Let me rework that. Let me repurpose and retool that. And what you may have is some older material with a fresh perspective and a new idea. And that could make you that much more unforgettable. So part of staying top of mind is not only reaching out, but maybe also reaching back. Give some to that.
Nice. Reach out, reach back. You know, we learned from Ed Tate the value of reaching out is more powerful to reach out to people you already have rapport with.
Right.
And I think he talks about guerrilla marketing. He's a guerrilla marketing guy. Forgive me, I don't know the exact number, but it's like 30% of your time should be to new clients. 60 or 70% of your time should be reaching back to people you already have rapport with. I got that wrong. I was doing many months of just reaching out to cold people. And I was like, what am I doing? So, and what do people want? You've got to frame it in what they want. So when I talk to this speaker agent, I literally Vegas themed keynote for Vegas conventions. Ooh, that helps give her something to sell. And, when I think of Game Changers, when I was coming up with the theme for this year, I thought, well, what do people really want from us? And who are the experts that I can bring in? So we'll have you and Ford and Ed Tate, but who's the new people we can bring in? Because we always have some new experts, but what do they really want? I started thinking about, well, what do they want? More bookings, higher fees. More bookings, higher fees. So that's our theme. If you want to join us in April, just go to stagetimelivelive.com and see what we're doing. We're up leveling. We're not we want to help people just starting out, but we're bringing our education level higher to bring people up to it, to help people who are already out there doing it, and kind of like everyone else, grab your training wheels, we'll take you along with us. But here's the thing, learn the habits that matter. Right. That matter now. What's the today way? And then we got Maureen Zappala coming too, who just a few years ago, she decided she was going to be the go-to person in imposter syndrome. So she's a professional speaker. She's every good as Mark and I, but she made a decision that this was going to be her niche and she was going to own it. And then just within a few short years, she's a former NASA scientist, engineer. A few short years, she brought her speaking fee income to over 100,000. That's huge. And I've had a couple of skeptical people say, well, but she used to work for NASA. Of course she's going to make that much. Not in this industry. I don't care what your credentials are. You got to start where everybody else is at. I have 0 paid speeches. So to get up to that in an annual income doesn't mean she doesn't have other income and other things going on. Just saying speaker fee income, that's huge. So I want to know, what's Sam's 15 minutes a day way? What's Maureen's process? And through that, I'll morph my own, but I want to morph it from people who are doing it right now.
And that's where the collaboration piece comes in, Darren. And I'm so grateful that you put Stage Time Live, Game Changers together in this way, because so many of us want the answers. And when we think about it, what we will receive at Game Changers It's exactly what we're talking about today. Some unforgettable habits to help you level up your business, to help you reassess your top five and decide who needs to be in it. And when you come to Game Changers and listen to these experts who have done all of this and have apply these principles, it'll also help you to use techniques that are going to keep you top of mind for the people who want to hire you. But definitely reach out and reach back to stay top of mind. So you want to get the top five, reassess that. Yes, you want to reach out and be, top of mind in the best ways possible, but you want to stay on top. So how we top it off, Darren? I love your theme, the idea of going all in.
Well, but Mark, we got one more habit, like getting that qualified coaching.
I like that too.
That is critical. If we want to up our, when I started working on a new speech, guess what I did? I got feedback. Now working on All In as the keynote, I took 17 minutes to your dream and reorganized it to have a different title. So there's overlap, but to the client, I had one client who said, yeah, 17 minutes to your dream. That's not what I want my people to do because they work for us. Property management company. They work for us. We don't want them to dream because they dream of working somewhere else
or leaving.
And I said, well, I half-heartedly mentioned it, Mark. I said, I'm working on this new keynote, All In. She said, that's it. That's what I want my people to do. And without a demo video, without anything, just on the title alone. But now, Mark, working on my marketing materials for the new keynote, I need a one sheet, I need a one page, and I need a demo video. So I've been sending it out to my mastermind groups and getting feedback on the demo video. And then I'll be honest, I don't love getting feedback because that means more work. I want people to just pat me on the head, just like I wanted you to do, and say, that's great. Get it out there. Well, I'm on iteration number 3, got another one coming. But each time I'm like, okay, there's a new challenge in the demo video to solve. How do I do this? How do I make it more engaging? How do I? So it's getting that feedback. So whether it's on your marketing materials or your speech, either one, you need qualified feedback. And Mark, I won't mention names on the demo video. I got some feedback from some great speakers, some world-class speakers that I know and love. And there was one part of it that they didn't like. And they said, you got to take the testimonials out. That's so old school. What? But then I asked my agent, she's like, keep the testimonials in. They need to see that. Now, I respect the other opinion, but I'm going to go with the person who's selling me.
Here you go.
They're the ones that are in it all the time. And they're the ones who got to sell me. So if she was selling me and she said, keep the testimonials in, and I take the testimonials out, well, now I'm not listening to her. She's going to be less likely to get excited to sell me. So again, your speech, you're working on a new speech, you need some qualified feedback. That's why we have stage time. That's why I have a place where you can bring a new story, bring a new opening, bring a new closing, and get 2 qualified coaches, 2 different perspectives. All right, Mark, I'm out of breath. Go.
Well, no, I appreciate that. And I do hope our listeners/viewers caught a key point you just made. You brought this demo video to professional, experienced presenters who we know are highly qualified to give coaching feedback on your presentation, on your delivery, on your body language, all of the above. But from a marketing standpoint, the most qualified professional is your booking agent, your meeting planner, expert who understands what meeting planners look for, who is herself a professional in the industry and has done it for many, many years. In that instance, while we have professional presenters who are qualified to guide us on the platform, they may not be the best to provide us guidance on marketing materials. What that means is we need professional support in every area of our business. We must be discerning and be careful about who we ask for help in what area of our business and our profession to maximize the benefit so we can be unforgettable both on stage and in our marketing materials. Now, I'm out of breath.
Yeah, so we need that feedback. Make it a habit. You're working on new marketing materials. Get feedback, not from your buddies, from someone who understands the industry at the highest level. Reach up to the highest level you can. That's why we have business mastery and stage time. We have 2 mentoring calls every month so you can bring your stuff to us. It allows you an affordable way to have that business mentoring. You're working on a new presentation, on a new story. You've got to get that feedback, because just like when I was working with Mark in the old days, everyone told me to do this. Mark told me the exact opposite. So if you get feedback from the wrong people, you will work really hard in the wrong direction. And Mark, I love, there's one of my favorite quotes by Rudy Rudiger. He said, people aren't afraid of hard work. They're afraid of hard work not paying off. Well, if you're getting the feedback from the wrong people, you're going to work really hard and it ain't going to pay off. It's critical. All right. So I just want to bring that one habit up, because I think that feedback, Mark, I take it for granted. That's just how my brain is. Working on a new program, get feedback, deliver it. I working on Keynote version 1.0. I delivered it to, 20 Toastmaster districts, TLIs, clubs, to get feedback. And I write better that way for my process. I write better by doing it, getting feedback, tweaking it, doing it, getting feedback, tweaking it. I can't sit down to a blank piece of paper. That doesn't work for me. However, I get that I need the feedback from the thought and felt feedback, from how it lands in my audience, and then how to make it better feedback from the qualified people. I run it by you. I run it by Mike Davis. I run it by my other speaker buddies, but I go to you guys first. Why? Because you have that perspective that's going to save me time and have more impact.
And I've learned, Darren, in the last several years, there is a line that sounds so simple, but for me, becomes so powerful. I'll call someone and say, hey, I got an idea I want to run by you. Or can I run something by you real quick? Can I shoot you an email with this? Let me know what you think. Simply asking for that kind of support from the right people can literally be a game changer. And having the right people guide us in the presentation side, in the business side, whatever area of your speaking you need work on, find that top level support. That word top again, Darren. Get support and guidance from the top level and go all in. It's going to make
top of the morning to you. Yeah. And I think the one idea that brings it all together is, look, if you want to be unforgettable, you got to be all in your presentation, in your marketing, in your quest for feedback. But without all in, it's a hobby.
Yeah.
Without all in, you're going to be at that same level you were in 2023. If you're at the same level you were in 2023 by the 3rd month, March of the year, that's on you. That's on you. That just means you're not all in. So, Mark, my subtitle for all in is one decision changes everything. Okay. One decision changes everything. Because I remember when I walked off stage that first night at Stitches, the guy put his arm around my shoulder. He said, don't worry, man, it's just your first time. I'm like, don't worry. Do you see what I did? I got to laugh. I'm going to figure this out. George Burns is 100 freaking years old. I don't care how long it takes. I made a decision that I was all in. And look, I don't want to say I've lived my whole life that way. No, I freaking wasted a lot of time. But I'm going back to it, and I invite you, Mark invites you to make that one decision that changes everything. And ask yourself, if you were all in, what would you do? I get coaching. If you're all in, what would you do? I get feedback from professionals, from bureaus. If you were all in, would you watch that Law and Order episode tonight? Or go do some research. Like Sam Richter has a great search engine that I pay for and I use to help me find the right people. Now, I'm going to readjust how I use it, but with that habit, just like stage time, reach out time. The more you reach out, the more you're going to discover that process that works. But guess what? You're going to find some things that don't work first. Good. Check. I won't waste that time anymore.
And one more way you can go all in, I suggest and invite you to go all in rekindling relationships that maybe have gone the past Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to try to contradict the top 5 idea. I'm not contradicting it. I'm saying there may be relationships you built over time that you haven't really rekindled, but having a new conversation, a couple, 3 years later, several months later, we don't know what may have changed for you or for them. So don't slam every door shut too quickly. Don't burn all the bridges, but ask yourself, who can I reach back out to? And I can rekindle a relationship that may lead to something you never expect. Because if we think about it, Darren, we all know somebody who says, oh, you know what? I left there. I'm doing this now. Oh, really? I didn't know you changed jobs. Or yeah, you know what? I could use somebody like you. I'm sure all of us have had that conversation, and that could also be a game changer. And part of reaching out, that also gives you an opportunity to stay top of mind with people who you hadn't thought could support you or partner with you. So here's my last thought to top it off in my end. I'd like us to think about not just only client speaker relationship, but think in terms of partnerships. Who can we partner with? And how can I partner with a client to give them what they need, to serve them well, and to have me stay top of mind because of how well I serve them? And they see me going all in, and I'm over delivering. That should be a goal we could set, an unforgettable habit for this year. And in 6 months, you might be surprised to see how things have changed. So I want to challenge myself, Darren, and I shouldn't say this in public. Oh my gosh. I'm going to challenge myself to really think in terms of partnerships, service, over delivering, reaching out, and hopefully in a couple of months, when we get to game changers in 3 months from now, a quarter year from now, I can look back over these 3 months and see something different as a result of me being held accountable by my entire audience, holding on to these unforgettable habits.
Nice.
Darren?
Nice. And I had one final thought, and I'm so caught up in what we're saying that I'm like, oh, crap. I forgot. Yeah. Oh, well, it's gone. It'll come back or not in the next 3 seconds. By the way, if you're going to consider joining us for Game Changers, use the code EVENT25. So Mark, if you could put that in the snippets, EVENT25, that'll give you 25% off. And by the way, the price is going to keep going up as we get closer. I think there's 2 more levels to go. So the sooner you check it out, the more you'll save. If you're interested in more bookings, higher fees. But Mark, let's recap. What do we got for our 3 or 4 habits? I lost track now.
Well, number 1 was take inventory, reassess your top 5. Number 2 was reach out, find a way that works today so you can stay top of mind. The 3rd was to get top level professional feedback on your marketing materials, your videos, your presentation. And number 4 was to top it off by going all in, using every resource, reaching out, rekindling relationships, being a partner with the people you work with. So that, and when you fulfill these 4 unforgettable habits, it'll be a game changer, and this could be a transformational year for all of us.
All right, take some inventory, because it is the habits that are going to lead you towards business or away from business. And by the way, if the way you are doing things now is working, keep going, share it. But if it's not working, there's a way that works today. And it's our job to find it, to be top of mind with the people who can hire us. We need to reach out to put ourselves top of mind. And here was the thing I was trying to remember. Don't look at it. And Mark, this was a thing in my head when I started doing my habit of reaching out with by the way, I'm a visual. That's why I like the casino chips. It gives me a visual sitting here on my desk. My challenge, Mark, is I looked at it as a sales call. I was trying to sell myself. But when I flipped it, when I reframed it to say it's a rapport call, I'm just reaching out to build rapport. Whether they buy or not, doesn't matter. I remember when I worked at Bose Corporation, and that was my job, telemarketing, selling the Bose Wave radio. There was a guy, John Yates, who worked, if you picture the guy, the old fisherman from Jaws, that was him. He was awesome. Just a character. But he would work half the hours and sell twice as much. Half the hours and sell twice as much. I said, John, what's your secret? He says, I don't try to sell. I try to make them laugh. If I can make them laugh, then there's a connection. So he went for the connection first. So just make it a rapport call. And if they're not going to buy, they're not going to buy. But if you put yourself top of mind based on your past experience from the people who know you, that's the key. And then from every presentation you do from now on, how well you do, Mark says overserve, that's going to be your next year, calling back to them from this year. That is whether they want you back or not, maybe a new subject. So look, unforgettable habits. As a presenter, our habits need to be a little bit different. Mark Brown, take us home.
Well, friends, Happy New Year 2024. Begin to use these unforgettable habits, and to learn more, join us for Game Changes, April 5 and 6, 2024. In the meantime, keep learning, keep growing, and keep using these unforgettable habits. We will see you next week.
Hey there, this is Darren LaCroix. Thanks for checking out this podcast episode on YouTube. If you want all of them, not every one is on YouTube, check out your favorite podcast platform so you don't miss an episode. Keep being a sponge so you can be unforgettable.
Check out StagetimeUniversity.com, where good presenters become unforgettable.